how's it going? Welcome back to From the Forums, a weekly deep dive into the chaos of fan forums. It's game week 7 in the Premier League and I really want to see which fans are kicking off in the comment sections. Starting on Merseyside, where both the blue and the red halves were feeling very different this weekend, but Everton in particular will be especially happy. Coming from behind to win 2-1 against form team Crystal Palace, how are their fans feeling right now? And Liverpool's loss to Chelsea sees them drop to second. Are fans worried about their blip? And Bournemouth have lost £200 million worth of talent and they're up to 4th in the Premier League after a 3-1 win over Fulham. Many declaring Antoine Semenyo as world class. Do their fans agree? And Ange Postecoglou is still winless at Nottingham Forest. Are their fans actually pining for the Steve Cooper era? At this point, please do hit like, subscribe and follow wherever you're watching or listening to this to make sure you can find out which clubs I scour the forums of next week. Right, let's start at the shiny new Hill Dickinson Stadium, shall we, with Everton beating Crystal Palace 2-1. What do Everton fans make of that performance? Let's have a look, shall we? So good. Can't think of another player like Grealish in the league, and we've got him. He draws players to him and he rarely gives it away. Great first touch, creative, a proper player. Yeah, there's a headline, isn't it? It's Jack Grealish, and his form since joining Everton on loan has been superb. A lot of talk about his rebirth and his confidence returning, and you can really see that, can't you? And the freedom that the manager gives him just unleashes a whole different level of creativity in his mind, and you can see his brain working differently when he's got the ball. I mean, this goal wasn't the greatest of goals, was it? But he was in the right place at the right time. And I think Grealish's work rate deserved that goal. Everton's work rate deserved that goal. And a happy Jack Grealish is a beautiful thing to see, isn't it? Next comment. Just watch the highlights back. Man, we did not deserve those 3 points. Palace should have been 3 or 4 up before we got our first. But hey, for all the shit luck that comes our way, we deserve one every now and then. Yeah, it was very much a tale of two halves, wasn't it, for Everton? And the changes that David Moyes made for the second half made a massive difference to Everton's attacking impetus, didn't it? I think admitting that he got the forward line wrong was brave. And I think Beto, for all his flaws, made a big difference. Just the running that Everton did in the second half was real testament to that change in mentality and those tweaks in tactics. And it meant the support cast of the likes of Grealish and Di were free to do more. And that was the difference, really, in the second half. But yeah, definitely rode their luck in that first half, didn't they? Next comment. Moyes has been criticised for his subs, but they were brilliant today. Absolutely. As we've just mentioned, the second half changed everything. For Everton, all they had to do was hold on in that first 45 minutes against a Palace onslaught, really. And the fact that they did meant that the second half was anyone's game, and Moyes sensed that. And I sensed that he got the starting lineup wrong, I think. Attacking-wise, Everton didn't look like as much of a threat as they did once those changes were made, so fair play to David Moyes. I've said it before, momentum is key in football. Do what Alcaraz did, run about and make things happen. Yeah, you could see the running difference in that second half, and Alcaraz was one of those players that really did that, wasn't he? And Everton giving themselves a really good platform, I think, to succeed this season. It's not just the fact they've got a new stadium, but I think that definitely helps the feeling of change happening to the club. But players like Grealish coming in and enjoying their time there and enjoying the love they're getting from the fans is making this feel like a new start for Everton. And that, for me, is key. It's a breakaway from the past and a step into something new and something different. And that is exciting. Right, to the red half of Merseyside. Chelsea 2, Liverpool 1. Liverpool down to second now after that defeat to Chelsea. And it's a bit of a blip they're in at the moment, isn't it? Let's see what fans have got to say. Better having this blip now than in March. But if we don't realise soon that not all our attacking play has to revolve around getting the ball to Salah, and we actually have other players that can play, things won't improve. I mean, the ball went to Salah quite a few times, didn't it, in this game? But his shooting was well off on this game. I don't think you can blame getting the ball to Salah as the reason for Liverpool's blip. I think a few of the tactics and a few of the players that Slot played in this game didn't go to plan. The Cherries and Robinson dynamic is interesting because they're two very different players going forward and defending. I think he got their play the wrong way round this time. It probably should have been Cherries that came on instead of Robertson. And obviously dropping Wirtz to the bench as well was kind of almost an admission that something had to change. Didn't quite work in this game, and Chelsea pulled off a really impressive result, really. Robertson can't defend and Cherries can't seem to attack. We suffer either way. Yeah, I get your point. Two very different players, bought to kind of complement one another when one player's way of playing wasn't quite working. And as I just said, I don't think they got it the right way around this time. Robertson would have been a safer bet to start with Cherries' energy coming off the bench, maybe making things better when they needed it. Let's check out another comment. Even a blind person could see the most obvious change was Chiesa for Gakpo. Gakpo couldn't even run anymore or complete simple passes, while Chiesa has literally been changing games for us. Yeah, that is an odd one. Chiesa has had some real impact off the bench, hasn't he, in the last few games, and he's become a bit of a clutch player when it needed to happen. It was the fine margins in this game that really made the difference, and those kind of decisions, which players to bring on and at which time, just didn't go in Liverpool's favour. And with hindsight, that's easy to say, but Slot himself kind of admitted it in the post-match that those small margins are what make the results happen in the Premier League. Liverpool have had a lot their way recently, let's face it. Their last-minute winners and equalisers have kept them up in that position in the table, probably falsely. So to see the looks slightly go against them in this game, I would say it's kind of par for the course. Okay, moving on to probably the headline of the weekend, I would say, and that is Bournemouth climbing up to 5th in the table with a 3-1 win over Fulham in some horrendous conditions as well. The rain was lashing down in this game, but what a performance from Bournemouth again. Do fans agree? Let's have a look. Ecstatic with the comeback and result, we truly have some excellent footballers and more importantly, an even better manager. I think that's the thing, when you've got a team like Bournemouth playing as well as they are, their talent gets picked off. I mean, look at the summer. They've lost their entire defence pretty much in goalkeeper, and yet they keep on moving, they keep on improving. And that is mainly because of course, the recruitment being so good. But I think Andoni Iraola has to have a lot of credit for shuffling the deck, making the players work, and just not giving up on attacking impetus. At the minute, they've got some class players in forward positions that are really making things happen, and the goals in this game were just out of this world. So credit has to go where it's due, and I think questions are now being asked of whether Bournemouth can hang on to this crop of players and to this manager any longer. I think that's unfair. Bournemouth need a really strong finish, I think, to the season to justify that their project and their way of running the club is actually working. I don't think wholesale departures are on the cards this time around. I hope they're not anyway, because this Bournemouth unit seems to click really well, and when it works, it's great to watch. It was a tactical battle against a decent opponent in terrible conditions. These matches are usually decided by one moment of quality. We found 3. That is the difference, isn't it? And I think Bournemouth have done a lot of that. They've been very productive with the ball going forward. Not a huge amount of clear-cut chances, but when they score, they've been absolute bangers. And that was the case here with Kluivert and Semenyo in particular, proving how class they are. But this Bournemouth system encourages those kind of players to flourish. So any questions about them moving on and being circled around by bigger teams, I think this is something that's unique to Bournemouth. Their character and their strengths are working for this system. Taking them out of that, I'm not sure would be quite the same. That's what Bournemouth fans are kind of hoping for anyway. These are all fantastic goals, but it's not sustainable to continue relying on scoring from these low probability shooting positions. At some point, we're going to have to find a way to create a decent goal scoring chance, because we can't just carry on banging in worldies every week. Yeah, well, echoing what I've just said, really, it's the quality is becoming the difference at the minute. Evan Nilsson needs to find a way to get himself more on the score sheet. I think as soon as they open up a number 9 to kind of replicate the kind of goals that Dango Ouattara was scoring last season, then maybe the burden will be taken off the supporting cast, the likes of Semenyo and Kluivert. But their quality shines through in moments like this, doesn't it? I don't think there's anything to worry about. Bournemouth are just a super productive team, aren't they? And very entertaining. I love watching Bournemouth right now. There were clubs sniffing around Semenyo in the summer. He could have gone then, but he decided to sign another contract. There could be different reasons for this, but he likes the area. Maybe he enjoys his football and Iraola, etc. I think that's the thing, isn't it? You don't underestimate how a happy environment and a functioning team makes a player of that quality want to be part of that for longer. I think we saw similar at Crystal Palace when Wilfried Zaha was there, Eberechi Eze, and they've only just moved on when they've kind of reached as far as they felt they could. I think the likes of Semenyo have got another level to go up, I think, in this Bournemouth team. And I think this Bournemouth team has got another level to go up to as well. Okay, this is the team we visited recently, but Nottingham Forest losing 2-0 to Newcastle. While that result in isolation isn't a big surprise, I think the fact that Forest are struggling so much since Ange Postecoglou arrived has made this even more of a fascinating result. Really keen to see if their fans are starting to think differently about Postecoglou now. Results just aren't happening. Let's have a look, shall we? It's been disappointing that we've not really created much under Ange, aside from a few small spells. Yeah, I agree with that. I think creatively they've been very pragmatic, very safe, and not something I expected to see under Postecoglou, who kind of prides himself, or has prided himself on high line, counter-attack, hitting teams on the break really swiftly. To be fair, a lot of teams haven't allowed that to happen for him so far. That being said, the amount of ambition shown by Nottingham Forest since he's been in charge has been really disappointing. I think Gibbs White in particular has looked stifled. Elliot Anderson, not quite the same player as he was last season. Is that because of Ange? I don't know. But there's been something disrupted in the Nottingham Forest ecosystem, in their harmony. Whether Ange is the fall guy for that, we'll see, but it usually falls on the manager, and it's not looking great so far, is it? Let's check out another comment, shall we? We've created absolutely nothing today. The players don't seem to know what they should be doing at any point. Held on bravely, but we're always going to concede. It's just not working. It's really not, is it? I don't know what to say. It's tough on Ange Postecoglou because this gig is a brilliant gig, and he must have seen this opportunity come to him and go, great, European football, the chance to keep a team growing, the momentum from last season continuing, but it was always set up to be a difficult transition, I think, going from a Nuno type play to an Ange type play. That's been well publicised. But it's much more than that. It's the harmony the dressing room had. That was the key to Forest working last season. That harmony has been disrupted, and a very popular manager, as far as we know, has been replaced by, I guess, whoever it would be find it difficult to follow up what Nuno did. But the fact that it's Ange and he's so different and he's such a different character, was it inevitable that it was going to be a difficult transition? Probably. Has he got much longer to correct this? Who knows? In isolation, a 2-0 away loss to Newcastle isn't the end of the world, but it's the 7-game run without a win that's the issue. We've seen no progress in that time, and the players don't seem to understand their roles. We're leaky at the back and not scoring many either. That's the thing. You've got this duo of attacking threat nullified, defensive solidity, which they had in abundance last year, kind of gone and disrupted, and they look easy to get at, Nottingham Forest. And I think as soon as that defensive stability is kind of questioned and shaken, with the exception of Matt Sells, who I thought was fantastic, there's doubt everywhere through the team. I didn't believe that his job was in jeopardy until today. We've spent £150 million plus on players I never heard of. They're mediocre at best, and that's why no one knew who they were. That is harsh. The fact that they've spent £150 million on players isn't Ange's fault either. He's been given and dealt the hand he's been dealt, and he's trying to do the best he can with it. But I think it's harsh to say that the players they've signed are mediocre at best. Morgan Gibbs-White, a shadow of what he was. Anderson didn't look interested. I think you're viewing this through the lens of it being this run that they're on, rather than it being against Newcastle away. Newcastle away is one of the most difficult trips to make in football. So to criticise players for struggling against a class Newcastle midfield, and they were great as well, let's not take anything away from Newcastle, that's a bit harsh too. I think it's just the fact that this run continues is making it really, really difficult to kind of, I don't know, be positive. But I get it. Nottingham Forest fans are in a massive period of uncertainty right now, and what they need is a result. What Ange Postecoglou needs is a result. Anyway, that's it from this week's From the Forums. Hope you like what you've heard. Please do follow me. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, and I'm also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you prefer to listen rather than watch. But until next week, see you soon. Take care.